Okay, I'll just move on to scenario 8. You have a release to the production server has just been completed, and you want to check that it's all worked correctly and do a comparison between the development server and your production server or test and production. What we've developed recently is a server comparison tool which allows you to take two servers and compare all the workflow on the two of them and produce reports. And if you like, synchronize them so they are then homogenized. If I do the server comparison, but bearing in mind it's taking the server that you're logged into already, you can choose the forms you want to compare. We're just going to choose a couple from our internal processing here. And then you can choose which objects you want to compare. And if you just want to compare your new application changes, then you can choose date range here. Similarly, you can choose the last user to change them as well. This is just a menu that allows you to be more discerning about what's output into the server comparison. And this is the second server you want to compare with. So this is just another one of our servers in the office. So if I run the comparison now, it'll give you a big list of all the differences. These ones are obviously they don't exist on my server, but do exist on the other server. Sometimes it's just differences in field permissions, for instance, and you can see the difference in more detail down here. And from here, you can choose to generate documentation on these problems. So if I just click this here, it'll populate documentation. Function again. Oh, it's just telling there's some problems with the active links. Well, I'll just okay. Never mind. That's just because there's active links in there that aren't. We can just regenerate a report on that alternatively, and we'll just export this big list into an Excel spreadsheet again. So this is a really good way of seeing how precise your migration piece is, and making sure that everything has transferred correctly. But we also give you the option in Abydos Analyser to synchronize this workflow yourself. And you can do it selectively. You can just pick certain elements that you want to synchronize between two servers, or you can do everything. And in some ways, this can replace any other migrator software you may use. And you can also then produce documentations on those synchronizations you do. I'll just move on. So scenario number 9, this is a new feature we've added recently on the back of some feedback we have received from a customer, an enhancement request, and many of our enhancements do come from our customer base. A problem with the guide on the help desk is causing an error. It's a very general problem. You know it's a problem with the guide, which is quite a new feature of Remedy. So we're probably the first people to really look at how guides can be represented in a different way. We want to produce a document outlining the contents of a guide for troubleshooting purposes. But what we can do above and beyond that is to produce a guide diagram. So I found a nice looking guide here. It's an active link guide. You can change it to filter guides if you like. It'll find all the guides on your system and list them for you so you don't have to search. And I'll just draw the default diagram. And here you can see a graphical representation of the guide diagram. Now this may not look much different from what you'd see in Developer Studio when working with guides. However, we do have the additional benefit of being able to show when the labels are called and the reason they're called as well, and the execution order. And from here we can also drill down further. You see this symbol here, that's actually a symbol for another guide being called, call guide action. And we can expand this diagram to include that as well. So you can trace the flow of information through the guide diagram. You can just keep doing this and make more and more complex guide diagrams. The other thing we can do from here is run a report again, which will take this guide diagram and export it into a tabular report to show all the workflow inside of the guides. So I'm just going to do an Excel report. And here you can see the guide represented in a table with the labels in the execution order you expect, and also showing the additional guides as well that are called during those during the guide process. Now we think that would normally take you 2 to 3 hours, perhaps even longer, to produce the report as well. And that's a new feature we've added recently that a lot of people are finding very useful. Okay, I think that's all the functionality. I'm going to pass you back to Mark now. Thanks for listening. And hopefully, if you need any more information about that, then you can contact us and I can do a focused demonstration for you guys. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Simon. So we're just going to finish off now, going towards the end of the session today. Just a couple more slides to summarize what you've seen. Based on the scenarios that Simon's run through there, you can see the estimated effort for each of those comes up to, in total, around about 8 days of time, and I'm sure you could appreciate the effort involved in some of those activities. With the analyzer, using the examples that you've seen today, we estimate around about 3 hours, and that's been fairly conservative, and therefore a pretty big time saving. You can see there 95% time saving on the actual effort in actually getting the same information out of your application. So that's quite significant. I'm just going to pick out a couple of feedback features we've picked up from our customers recently. You can see from some of the comments down there, some customers have saved between 6 months and a year's worth of development effort. Others have saved, quoted, hundreds of development man-hours. And the typical ROI period we see on this is usually around about 14 weeks. So you can see that it's pretty compelling return on investment. So I'm just going to go on to finish off and just talk about next steps, if this is of interest to you. What we tend to do with most of our customers is we do usually a personalized use case demonstration, so we can put something together based on your environment, trial it, see how it works for you, and then get your feedback. And then we can then do a more detailed ROI analysis for your particular environment to see the kind of metrics and time savings that you could generate using this tool. And then we can go on and do some reference case studies with you as well. So hope that makes sense. And finally, we've got some contact information for you. I'll leave it on the screen. If you want to get hold of us any time, you've got an email address there and a phone number, toll-free phone number for the US and for Europe. So just to finish off, I'm just going to see any questions that have come up during